Garaldine Busula, Permanent Secretary, Minister of Trade and Industry, Legislators Michael Mawanda, Paula Kamba, Wamukuya Ignatius Mudemi, Kiria Julius Taita Nkoko, Advocate Kavundla Leonard, the Principal Cooperative Officer, Minister of Trade and Industry, have appeared at the Anti-Corruption Court for the charges against them. After court, Garaldine Busula, together with other co-accused, were charged with 19 counts, among them diversion of public resources, money laundering, abuse of office, and conspiracy to defraud government of over 3.8 billion shillings.
A2 Honorable Wamakuyo Ignatius Mudimi, male adult, district, and a resident of plot 1936 Nsambya Estates, Goodwill Zone, Machindia Division, Kampala City. A3 Honorable Akamba Paul, a male adult, aged 41 years old, Honorable Member of Parliament representing Busiki County in Namutumba District and a resident of Chanja Central, Nakawa Division, Kampala City. F4 Kiria Julius Tatankoko, male adult, aged 50 years old, an advocate and managing partner at Kiria and Company Advocates, resident of Kauku, Entebbe Road, Kajansi Town Council, Wakiso District. F5 Kavundira Leonard, male adult, 59 years, Principal Cooperative Officer, Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives, resident of Jogo Village, Goma Division, Mukono Municipality, Mukono District. A6 Sali Busun, female adult, Permanent Secretary and Accounting Officer of the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives. Count 1, Statement of Offense, Diversion of Public Resources, Contract Section 6 and 26, Subsection 1 of the Anti-Corruption Act, Cap 116, Laws of Uganda, Revised Edition 2023. Particulars of the offense. Honorable Mawanda Michael Maranga, in the month of October 2021 in Kampala, at Kampala District, converted public funds amounting to Uganda shillings 1,050,000,000 for purposes unrelated to that for which the resources were intended, to wit, war loss compensation by the government of Uganda to Buyaka Growers Cooperative Society Limited for his own benefit. Honorable Mawanda, heard and understood? Have you heard and understood that which has been read? So this is the alternative count. Statement of offense, receiving stolen property, contract sections 294 of the Penal Code Act, Cap 128, Laws of Uganda, Revised Edition 2023. Particulars of the offense. Honorable Mawanda Michael Maranga, in the month of October 2021 in Kampala, at Kampala District, received cash 1,050,000,000 shillings from Kiria Julius Taitankoko, knowing that the said money had been feloniously stolen. Heard and understood? Still, Honorable Mawanda. Count 2, A statement of offense, diversion of public resources, contrary to Section 6 and 26 of the Anti-Corruption Act, Cap 116, Laws of Uganda, Revised Edition 2023. Particulars of the offense. Honorable Mudimi Wamakuyo Ignatius, between the months of October 2021 and June 2023, in Kampala, at Kampala district, converted public funds amounting to 2,398,000,000 were intended to wit war loss compensation by the government of Uganda to Buyaka Growers Cooperative Society Limited for his own benefit. Honorable Mudimi, have you heard and understood? The alternative, receiving stolen property contrary to Section 294 of the Penal Code Act, Cap 128, Laws of Uganda, Revised Edition 2023. Particulars of the offense. Honorable Mudimi Wamakuyu Ignatius, between the months of October 2021 and June 2023, in Kampala, at Kampala district, received Uganda shillings 85 million on his bank account number 01073000148838, held in DFCU Ginger Road branch, from Kiria and company advocates, knowing that the said money had been feloniously stolen. I had and understood that. Count 3, statement of offense, diversion of public resources, contrary to Section 6 and 26 of the Anti-Corruption Act, Cap 116, Laws of Uganda, Revised Edition 2023. Particulars of the offense. Honorable Akamba Paul, between the months of May and June 2023, in Kampala, at Kampala district, converted public funds amounting to Uganda shillings 200 million for purposes unrelated to that for which the resources were intended, to wit, war loss compensation by the government of Uganda to Buyaka Growers Cooperative Society Limited for his own benefit. Honorable Akamba, understood? The alternative count, receiving stolen property, contrary to Sections 294 of the Penal Code Act, Cap 128, Laws of Uganda, Revised Edition 2023. Particulars of offense. Honorable Akamba Paul, on the 14th of June 2023, received cash, Uganda shillings 200 million, on his DFCU bank account number 01071154110396 from Kiria and company advocates, knowing that the said money had been feloniously stolen. Understood that as well? Are we having the same charge sheet? Count 4. Okay. Statement of offense, diversion of public resources, contrary to Section 6 and 26 of the Anti-Corruption Act, Cap 116, Laws of Uganda, Revised Edition 2023. Particulars of the offense. Kiria Julius Taitankoko, only that you have several spellings for this. I think you have 2 spellings for this last name. Between October 2021 to June 2023 transferred public funds amounting to Uganda shillings 3,578,714,611 for purposes unrelated to that for which the resources were intended, to wit, war loss compensations by the government of Uganda to Buyaka Growers Cooperative Society Limited for his advocates from the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives for or on account of Buyaka Growers Cooperative Society Limited. Understood that as well. Count 5, Statement of Offense, Money Laundering Contract Sections 3, subsection A, and 119, 139, subsection 1A of the Anti-Money Laundering Act, Cap 118, Laws of Uganda, Revised Edition 2023. Particulars of the offense. Kiria Julius Taitankoko between 2021 and 2023 transferred money amounting to Uganda shillings 911,825,000 to Rajneesh Jain on account number 32003780 held at Centenary Bank, knowing such money to be proceeds of crime for the purpose of assisting Honorable Wamakuyu Ignatius Mudimi, who was involved in the conspiracy to defraud Uganda shillings 3,448,714,611, which generated the proceeds to evade legal consequences of his action. Mr. Kiria had an understood. Edition 2023. Particulars of the offense. Kavundira Leonard, during the financial years of 2021, 2022, and 2022-2023, while employed as the principal cooperative officer in the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives, in abuse of the authority of his office, did an arbitrary act prejudicial to the interest of his employer, to wit, influenced and coerced the chairperson of Buyaka Growers Cooperative Society Limited to abandon their duly appointed advocates, Anguria and company advocates, and Mungoma and Wakuka and company advocates in favor of Kiria and company advocates. Mr. Kavundira, have you had an understood? Count 7, Statement of Offense, Abuse of Office Contract Section 10, subsection 1 of the Anti-Corruption Act, Cap 116, Laws of Uganda, Revised Edition 2023. Particulars of offense. Garaldine Sally, during the financial year of 2021-2022, while employed as the permanent secretary and assigned the role of accounting officer of the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives, in abuse of her authority, did an arbitrary act prejudicial to her employer, to wit, irregularly introduced Buyaka Growers Cooperative Society Limited among the cooperatives to be compensated for the war loss by the government of Uganda, which was not listed on the request for the supplementary budget dated 4th August 2021. Madam Geraldine, have you heard and understood? Then count 8. Statement of offense causing financial loss, contrary to section 19 of the Anti-Corruption Act, Cap 116, Laws of Uganda, Revised Edition 2023. Particulars of offense: Sally Busulwa Geraldine, during the financial years of 2021, 2022, and 2022-2023, while employed as the permanent secretary and assigned the role of accounting officer of the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives, irregularly made payments to Kiria and Company advocates totaling to Uganda shillings 3,868,714,611, meant for Buyaka Growers Cooperative Society Limited, in contravention of the Treasury Instructions of 2017, knowing or having reason to believe that such an act will cause financial loss to the government of Uganda. Understood that as well? You've not understood the same, can I? Pardon? I read again? Pardon? Do so. Where is the lawyer? Kindly approach your client. Conspiracy to defraud. Contract section 309 of the Penal Code Act, Cap 128, Laws of Uganda, Revised Edition 2023. Particulars of the offense: Honorable Mawanda Michael Maranga, Honorable Mudimi Wamakuyo Ignatius, Honorable Akamba Paul, Kiria Julius, Sally Busulwa Geraldine, Kavundira Leonard, and others still at large, between 2019 and 2023, conspired to defraud the government of Uganda shillings 3,448,714,611, which was intended for war loss compensation to Buyaka Growers Cooperative Society Limited. Honorable Mawanda had and understood. Pardon? What about Honorable Mudimi, Honorable Akamba, Mr. Kiria, Madam Sally, Mr. Kavundira?
Immediately after charge, prosecution asked court to commit the accused to High Court for trial, since this court has no jurisdictions to try the money laundering charge against them. According to the indictment, over 3.8 billion shillings was meant to compensate war victims who were affected by the 1981 and 1986 Liberation War.
The particulars of offense: Sally Busulwa Geraldine, during the financial year of 2021-2022, while employed as the permanent secretary and assigned the role of accounting officer of Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives, in abuse of her authority, did an arbitrary act prejudicial to her employer, to wit, irregularly introduced Buyaka Growers Cooperative Society Limited among the cooperatives to be compensated for the war loss by the government of Uganda, which was not listed on the request for the supplementary budget dated 4th August 2021. Statement of offense in count 8, causing financial loss contract section 90. Julius, Sally, Busulwa, Geraldine, Kavundira, Leonard, and others still at large between 2019 and 2023 conspired to defraud the government of Uganda of 3,448,714,611 shillings, which was intended for war loss compensation to Buyaka Growers Cooperative Society Limited. That marks the end of the indictment. This is the summary of the case. The Director of Public Prosecutions proposes to adduce evidence at the trial to prove the following facts. 1. That A1 is a member of Parliament representing Igara constituency in Bushenyi district and a client of Kiria and Company Advocates, where A4 is the managing partner. That A2 is a member of Parliament representing Elgon County in Bulambuli district and was vice chairperson of the Budget Committee of Parliament for the financial years 2021, 2022 and 2022-2023 that recommended the appropriation of funds to the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives for payment of war loss compensation to cooperatives including Buyaka Growers Cooperative Society Limited. 3. That A3 is a member of Parliament representing Busiki County in Namutumba district and was a member of the Budget Committee of Parliament for the financial years 2021-2022 and 2022-2023 that recommended the appropriation of funds to the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives for payment of war loss compensation to cooperatives including Buyaka Growers Cooperative Society Limited. 4. That F4 is an advocate and a managing partner of Kiria and Company Advocates and the sole signatory to the firm's bank account held in DFCU Bank, where funds meant for Buyaka Growers Cooperative Society were deposited by the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives. 5. That A5 is a principal cooperative officer in the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives and was a member of the Cooperatives War Loss Claim Verification Committee that verified Buyaka Growers Cooperative Society Limited's claim for war loss compensation. 6. That A6 is the permanent secretary, an accounting officer of the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives who approved payments to Kiria and Company Advocates for the war loss compensation of Buyaka Growers Cooperative Society Limited for financial years 2021, 2022 and 2022-2023. Background to this case. 7. That during the Liberation War of 1981 to 1986 and the insurgencies that prevailed in some parts of the country adversely affected the operations and the asset base of some cooperatives. 8. That it was on the above basis that various cooperatives, including Buyaka Growers Cooperative Society Limited, lodged their claims for compensation with the government of Uganda. 9. That on the 8th of May 2020, Buyaka Growers Cooperative Society Limited lodged a claim of Uganda shillings 17,372,000,000 shillings which are the Ministry of Trade. They lodged with the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives 10,500,000,000 shillings. That included 10 billion shillings for war loss compensation to cooperatives that were in massacre, 2,350,374,671 shillings. Teso, 1 billion shillings. Nyakatonzi, 1 billion 625,329 shillings. North Bukedia, 1.2 billion. Bunyoro, 1.5 billion. Lango, 723,620,000. Chigezi, 1 billion. And Central West Nile, 1,159,380,000 shillings. 13. That on 20th September 2021, the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives wrote a follow-up letter to the Secretary to Treasury, Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, wherein she submitted a list of the cooperative unions to benefit from the supplementary budget. 14. That among the cooperative societies listed in the aforementioned follow-up letter included Massacre Cooperative Union, Ginger Multipurpose Cooperative Society, Lango Cooperative Union, North Bukedi Cooperative Union, Buyaka Growers Cooperative Society, and Buwambu Cooperative Society. 15. That the list of cooperative unions or societies listed in the follow-up letter dated 20th September 2020 included cooperatives that were not initially listed in the request for the supplementary budget dated 4th August 2021. Buyaka Growers Cooperative Society was not among the cooperative societies listed in the said request. 16. That Buyaka Growers Limited was earmarked to benefit Uganda shillings 1.5 billion, although it was never included in the initial request for the supplementary budget. 17. That on the 21st of October 2021, the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development wrote to the Speaker of Parliament submitting a supplementary expenditure schedule for the financial year 2021-2022, which included the payment of 8 billion shillings to the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives for cooperatives war loss compensation. 18. That the supplementary expenditure schedule submitted by the Ministry of Finance was for the supplementary expenditure of 3% over the 2021-2022 financial year budget in line with Section 25 of the Public Finance Management Amendment Act 2015. That the Parliament approved the supplementary expenditure, which included the 8 billion shillings for the cooperatives war loss compensation based on the report of the Budget Committee on Supplementary Expenditure Schedule 1 for the financial year 2021-2022. Budget Committee of Parliament introduced and recommended an appropriation of 17.5 billion shillings to the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives for compensation of various cooperatives without any basis or justification. 21. That the various cooperatives which were intended to benefit from the approved Uganda shillings 17.5 billion did not include Buyaka Growers Cooperative Society Limited. Consequently, various payments.
Although there were various groups of war victims that were meant to benefit from these monies, the alleged Buyaka Growers Cooperative Society Limited was just smuggled onto the list by PS Garaldine Salibusulwa, who also set up a parallel verification committee of war claimants.
Society Limited were made to Kiria and company advocates by the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives for financial years 2021, 2022 and 2022-2023. 23. That upon receipt of the said payments by Kiria and company advocates, FO made irregular payments to other individuals, including A1, A2 and A3. 24. That in a letter dated 25th August 2023 addressed to the Committee of Tourism, Trade and Industry, the Honorable Speaker of Parliament instructed the committee to carry out inquiries into the status, governance, resourcing and value for money for public funds allocated to cooperatives during the financial years 2011-2012 to 2022-2023. This was after queries were raised regarding the budgetary allocations and disbursements to various cooperatives during the period spanning financial year 2011-2012 up to 2022-2023. That the Sectoral Committee of Parliament on Tourism, Trade and Industry did carry out the inquiry as instructed and came up with recommendations in their report that was adopted by Parliament. 26. That among the recommendations of the Sectoral Committee of Parliament was that investigations should be carried out by the Director of Public Prosecutions and IGG on the implicated persons, including accused persons. 27. That investigations into the budgetary allocations and disbursements of public funds meant for war loss compensation for cooperative societies were subsequently commenced by Uganda Police on the instructions of the Director of Public Prosecutions. The investigations. 28. That in investigations into the budgetary allocations and disbursements of public funds revealed that the war loss compensation to Buyaka Growers Cooperative Society was not initially budgeted for in the 2021-2022 financial year budget. 29. That the police further established that Buyaka Growers Cooperative Society Limited was not included in the list of beneficiaries of the war loss compensation to the cooperatives in the request for a supplementary budget for the financial year 2021-2022 by the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives. In the follow-up letter to the request for a supplementary budget by the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives to the Secretary, to the Treasury, Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, without justification and in contravention of the initial request. 31. That as a result, the sum of 1 billion shillings was requested to be paid to Buyaka Growers Cooperative Society Limited in the follow-up letter to the request for a supplementary budget by the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperative. 32. That the Uganda shillings 1.5 billion stated in paragraph 31 was paid to to the bank account 01453554927389 held at DFCU in the name of Kiria and Company Advocates by the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives on 4th of October 2021. 33. That additionally, on the 11th of November 2021, the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives paid Uganda shillings 1 billion to Kiria and Company Advocates to account number 01453554927389 held at DFCU. 34. That further, on 3rd May 2022, the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives paid 1 billion shillings to Kiria and Company Advocates to account 01453554927389 held at DFCU. 35. That in addition to the above, on 6th June 2023, the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives paid Uganda shillings 368,714,611 to Kiria and Company Advocates to account 01453554927389 held at DFCU. 36. That consequently, the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives irregularly made a total amount payment of 3,868,714,611 to Kiria and Company Advocates, allegedly on behalf of Buyaka Growers Cooperative Society Limited, that of the total amount of money by the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives to Kiria and Company Advocates, only 290 million shillings was received by the leadership of Buyaka Growers Cooperative Society Limited. The above paragraphs of payments are summarized as follows. The table simply summarizes what I have already read. Diversion. 38. That the investigations further revealed that upon receipt of the money on Kiria and Company Advocates' bank account, Efo took it upon himself to distribute the funds as hereunder. Uganda shillings 1,050,000,000 was withdrawn and paid to A1, who alleged receipt of the money who acknowledged receipt of the money by signing on the payment voucher number 151 dated 8th of October 2021, and the purpose of expenditure indicated thereon to be payment of Buyaka GCS Limited creditors, into brackets, first installment SIC. The voucher was issued under the firm name of Kiria and Company Advocates B. On the 7th of October 2021, 100 million shillings was again transferred to the bank account of Owesigire Muhereza and Company Advocates, bank account 0216016000013, held in Bank of Africa Equatorial Mall branch on account of A1 for settlement of a civil suit number 28 of 2020 between Engineer George Turiachira and Michael Mawanda in the Commercial Division of the High Court. C. On 24th of November 2021, 100 million shillings was transferred to Owesigire Muhereza and Company Advocates, bank account number 0216016000013 6016000013 held in Bank of Africa Equatorial Mall branch on account of A1 for settlement of civil suit number 28. Settlement of civil suit number 28 of 2020 between Engineer George Turiachira and Michael Mawanda in the Commercial Division of the High Court. D. On 25th of November 2021, 33 million shillings was transferred to the bank account number 3100004708 held in Centenary Bank, Mapera Platinum Branch by Great Cash Solutions Limited. This was a payment for a loan obligation clearance in favor of A1 and A2. To wit, 20 million shillings was to satisfy A1's loan obligation, while 13 million shillings was for A2. E.
Investigations further revealed that Member of Parliament Mawanda used the part of the alleged money to settle his pending lawsuit with Engineer George Turiakire before the Commercial Court.
On obligations towards Rajneesh Jain. I. On 25th of November 2021, 40 million shillings was transferred. 3200370870 held in Rajneesh Jain. This was in partial satisfaction of A2's long outstanding loan obligation towards Rajneesh Jain. K. On 15th February 2020, count in partial satisfaction of A2's long pending loan obligations towards Rajneesh Jain. On grade, 10 million shillings was transferred still to the same bank account of Rajneesh Jain. This was in partial satisfaction of A2's long outstanding loan obligations towards Rajneesh Jain. M. On 12th May 2023, 70 million shillings was transferred to the same account, still in satisfaction of A2's long outstanding loan obligations towards Rajneesh. And on 14th of June 2023, 400,825,000 shillings was transferred still to the same account of Rajneesh Jain, still in satisfaction of A2's long outstanding loan obligations towards Jain. O. On 14th of June 2023, 200 million shillings was transferred to bank account number 01071154110396 held in DFCU by A3. 39. That on analysis of the various payments made by A4 to his co-accused, the investigations revealed that before the purported appointment of Kyria and company advocates as the legal representative for Buyaka Growers Cooperative Society Limited, A4 had been retained as an advocate representing A1 in civil suit number 28 of 2020 between Engineer George Turiachira and Michael Mawanda Maranga A1. 40. that part of the war loss compensation money paid to Kiria and Company advocates for Buyaka Growers Cooperative Society Limited on 4th of October 2021 and 11th of November 2021 was used to settle the above-mentioned civil suit against A1 by F4, his advocate, that the distribution of the funds from the bank account of F4 was effected partially under the instructions of A1 and A2. 42. That the recipients of various payments made by F4, to wit, Great Cash Solutions Limited and Rajneesh Jain, acknowledged receipt of money in satisfaction of loan obligations of A1 and A2 by issuing receipts to them whenever a payment would be made. 43. That prosecution will adduce evidence to prove that the action of distributing the money by F4 to A1 and A2 amounted to acts of money laundering. 44. That the investigations further revealed that payments made to F4 from the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives would follow immediate withdrawal or transfer. 44. That the investigations further revealed that payments made to F4 from the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives would follow immediate withdrawal or transfer to A1, A2, and all loan companies that the said accused persons owed money. 45. That A1 and A2 would jointly obtain loans from Great Cash Solutions and Rajneesh Jain. 46. That the payments made to F4 by the Ministry of Trade were made without instructions from the beneficiaries, Buyaka Growers Cooperative Society Limited. 47. That there were no instructions from the management of Buyaka Growers Cooperative Society Limited, who were the intended beneficiaries, to F4 to effect payments to the accused, to abandon their duly appointed advocates, Anguria and Company advocates, and Mungoma and Wakaka and Company advocates, in favor of Kiria and Company advocates for purposes of following up with their claim of war loss in the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives. 49. That by being a member of the verification committee, which was a parallel committee created by A6 and an officer in the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives, A5 had prior knowledge of the claim and what was due to Buyaka Growers Cooperative Society Limited. A6's involvement. 50. That A6, being the permanent secretary and accounting officer of the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives, approved payments to Kiria and Company advocates contrary to the Treasury Instructions 2017-51. That A6 established a parallel verification committee contrary to the interministerial committee that had been created by Cabinet for purposes of expediting the impugned verifications of various cooperatives for her personal interests. 52. That on 20th September 2021, A6 wrote a letter to the Secretary to the Treasury, Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, wherein she submitted a list of the cooperative unions to benefit from the supplementary budget and smuggled in Buyaka Growers Cooperative Society Limited that were not in the initial request for the supplementary budget. 53.
MP Wamakuya Ignatius is alleged to have used the said money to pay long-standing debt with the money-lender. The indictment further shows that the alleged money was deposited on Chidi and Company Advocates' account on the behalf of Buyaka Growers Cooperative Society Limited. However, the alleged cooperative received only 290 million. Prosecution relied on 36 exhibits during that trial.
Made payments to Buyaka Growers Cooperative Society Limited without supporting documents. Prosecution shall, among others, tender and rely on the following exhibits at the trial. 1. War compensation claim by Buyaka Growers Cooperative Society Limited. Cooperative war claim verification report for Buyaka Growers Cooperative Society Limited. Approved budget estimates for financial year 2021-2022. Approved quarterly work plan for the financial year 2021-2022. Supplementary request letter from Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives for financial year 2021-2022. A follow-up letter from Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives listing the cooperatives to benefit from the supplementary budget. A letter from the Ministry of Finance to Parliament submitting supplementary schedules number 1 for financial year 2021-2022. A report of the Budget Committee on supplementary expenditure schedule number 1 for financial year 2021-2022. Approved budget estimates for financial year 2022-2023. Approved quarterly work plan for the financial year 2022-2023. Report of the Budget Committee on supplementary expenditure schedule number 1 for financial year 2022-2023. Letter from Ministry of Finance to Parliament submitting supplementary schedule number 1. Addendum 1, 2, 3 and 4. Financial year 2022-2023, a report of the sectoral committee on tourism, trade and industry into the governance of and value for money for budgetary appropriations to cooperatives. A letter appointing Ms. Kiria and Company Advocates by Buyaka Growers Cooperative Society Limited. Minute extract of the Executive Committee meeting of Buyaka Growers Cooperative Society Limited. Resolution of Buyaka appointing Ms. Kiria, appointing MS Kiria and Company Advocates. IFMS, that is Integrated Financial Management Systems, approval logs to cooperatives. EFT payments to Kiria and Company Advocates by the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives. Court order above listed. Kiria and Company Advocates payment voucher signed by A1 and F4. Loan agreement between A2. Receipts issued to A1 and A2 upon payment of their loans in Rajneesh Jain and Great Cash Solutions. Record of proceedings in High Court, suit number 28 of 2020. Forensic handwriting reports. Employment records of F5 and 6. Certificate of registration. Constitution of Buyaka Growers Corporation Society Limited. Internal audit report by Ministry of Trade. Internal auditor. The accused have no valid defense to the charges and pray that the accused be convicted and indicted. And pray that the accused be convicted as indicted. Can I assume that all the accused persons, can I see the accused persons? Can I assume that all of you have clearly heard the content of the indictment and content of the summary of the case?
After reading the indictment to the accused, the six were committed to High Court for trial.
Content of the indictment and summary of the case have been communicated to the accused persons. They are now committed for their trial by the High Court that sits at the Anti-Corruption Division in the premises A1, A2, A3, A4, A5 further remanded, and A6 remanded to appear at a session convenient to the said High Court. You all still have the right to apply for bail before the High Court. What will happen is that in any case, a session is fixed while you are still on remand, you will be brought to court on production warrant. But in any case, by then, the High Court has granted bail, then this court will issue hearing notices to your advocates. And I always say, in any case of any change of mind concerning advocates, kindly inform court so that whoever has new instructions is the one that court serves.